It's colossal. It's stupendous. It's conspicuously incredible.
Alrighty, hello, and welcome back to another edition of Coloring Cat Girls. I am your host, Mike. So I'm going to do this one not ASMR. See if this actually now had a little trouble getting the camera right. Again, this is for anybody who's seen or haven't seen, or I might have to drag that down just a tad, some clipping, some. There we go. For those of you who may have seen the gaming channel and the other stuff, I might have said this a time or two over I don't know the last couple of months, year. This is kind of an experimental thing. My intention later on is me and Fox are working on this comic, Cosmic Kitsunami, and I want to, at least at some point in time, do a top-down where I'm doing character designs, different stuff, maybe record some of the work. If we do streams later on, like say you'll see my setup here, and then his setup, whether he's, it still looks a tad, but I don't know how washed out that looks. I'm also like looking at the screen in a weird different angle too, but like later on our hope is to get down the road where we're coloring, or I'm coloring, I'm doing the book, maybe we're talking about different this and that, or while he's playing a game, or we're doing them, just whatever, and I can have this in the background. There it is. Let me see what this looks like. But see, it's making money. It's just the problem is it was washing out everything else. It was washing out the paper. And you see every damn freckle and spot. I don't think the goal was to look at my ugly ass hands, arms, but so I figured the first couple I would do like ASMR style, and this is not. There's a reason why I moved this to. If me talking and doing all this isn't exactly your cup of tea either, I want to get more feedback from you guys as far as what you like, what you won't, I bought this briefcase, and I was going to do this whole kind of like goofy how-to basic intro where I was just slamming down the briefcase and yiping this stuff up. I bought a little case to kind of put some of this stuff in so it's not bounced around this truck, and it's one of these hard shell. It almost looks like one of them spy secret agent cases with the combination locks. But is that gonna help at all? And then, yeah, all this, it wouldn't fit in the bag. It wouldn't fit in the briefcase. In the thing here. I saw some other stuff on Temu. A nice, it's almost like a suitcase in a way. This is more of like your briefcase type. But this is more like a case, like a, like a suitcase almost. Not as big, as like a table. I mean, it's still probably about the size of a briefcase, length and width, but it's much taller. It's much thicker. And so, see, this is going to be more toward the center anyway. A lot of this. So, I'm doing some of this. Like I said, I'm going to talk during this one. I want to make sure that the audio, okay. Yeah, I'm going to talk during this one. If you guys like the ones where I'm not talking and it's just the sound of the scrubbing and the coloring, let me know. I will go back to doing that. I'm just trying to get a good feel of kind of what everybody likes, what they don't like. This is all in preparation for something later on anyway. So, let's see. So, I made the other one. I guess raven hair? I mean, brunette, but brunette kind of runs the gamut of dirty brown to almost black. She kind of looks like a redhead. So let me get a few, because, see if I can get, shoot, I need to grab. Actually, I think it's in that case. I had a notepad that I was using to scrub samples, splotches. Yeah, there we go. There she be. So I wasn't actually coloring on the actual page. And yeah, see, this was from before. So I said I'm not gonna go with like cartoon character Arial red. Since they're cats, though, I probably could go quite more orange. Is this orange? It is. Okay, citrus orange, orange. So then you also got tropical punch to be a more red orange. Still a little orangey, but see, this is like what I was trying to convey with like the not talking or whatever too, is that the paint, I gotta hold that up there. Well, I've got the zoom or the focus off on that too because it won't stay. But this looks a lot more orange than when you actually lay the pigment down on the paper. That's why you got to get these swatches. You kind of make up some swatches. This is, yeah. As opposed to so. The thing is, though, I probably still will use this tropical punch. See, here's another one here. This is sunset red. I will definitely keep these around for highlights later on. Highlights and shadows and tones and stuff. So this one's even a darker red. This one leans a little bit more red. Yeah, than anything else. It's not your, candy apple hot rod red. So then you got things like magenta, which is going more towards your brown, your purple, your brown. Wildfire. That was her nickname, wasn't it? That's almost like sunset. It's slightly brighter. See, it's slightly brighter. I don't know how well. So the closer I get to, I wanted to have the doodle on up here so it would have some light. So if I turned it off, so you get these shadows and stuff from the ambient light here in the truck. So I probably will not. Yeah, I probably won't go with Wildfire. Now, maybe in some of the effects and accessories around her. But, yeah, so I'm trying to find, like, your straight up red, magenta. So that's going to go a little bit more darker. Gonna have an explosive pink. Cat pink. This would be watermelon. I think I remember the last time when I used this, it did not look like watermelon. It was close. Actually, that's not. It depends. Let's see, depends on how ripe the watermelon is. I think we got it here. Straight up red. It's candy apple red, so it's going to be a more vivid, vibrant. Because I know there's a straight up red in here. Should be at the bottom. Oh, that's probably going to be mahogany or flamingo pink. That's what it's called. So. Oh, here it is. This is your straight up red. No? Orange Crush. So that's closer to. That's a deeper. That's a deeper orange. That's almost like a rust orange. Yeah, it's like a rust orange. So this will be some of our oranges. So if I went with a more subtle orange, damn, that's like a safety orange there, isn't it? Blazing Blush, Rouge Flamboyant, Rojizo Resplendiente, Olé. This would be gold, yeah, golden mustard. But that's gonna be that's blonde. That's dandelion almost. Let's see. Can't even see that one. So let's see. Cause I'm like, yeah, I'm not trying to go like Ariel, Little Mermaid, just like candy apple red. This might pumpkin orange. That's probably going to be more what I'm looking for. It's also that's very bright. That's brighter than the citrus orange. But this is definitely going to be, it looks citrus orange, pumpkin orange, orange crush. And then if I used tropical punch, would be for some highlights. That would be about it. So I think we got the hair down here. That looks a lot worse than what it seriously, like it's picking up every God. They're not that bad, trust me. I'm just like, what the hell is it? It's the only way I can get the white, thing. Every time I look at it, it's like, ugh. So, and here's the thing, redheads always look good in like either green or purple or brown. At least in my opinion. This is smoky purple. He's got this sweater thing going on here with the designs. Must be an armband or something. The choker, collar, cuffs. His accessories would have to match. I don't know if that's supposed to be a shot of matcha or a tequila shooter. It's got to be like a, hot tea or something. But she's an orange, so God knows what she's into. I'm giving them personalities and backstories as I'm doing this. See, now you got this this brownish color over here. This is straight up brown. This is straight up brown. It's a lighter. This is chocolate. Peridot. Yeah, that's very, very light. It's going to do something with that gray, but there's this other purple here. This, okay, this is straight up purple, so straight up purple, straight up brown. I know I had a red in here somewhere, although at the same time, I got a feeling I've lost one or two of these somewhere along the way. Happens. That might be it. Yep, okay, there it is. Yep, straight up red. Alright. Just buried in there a little ways. So, See, again, I could use the smoky purple as like a lighter. To do different things with. And this is going to be. Okay, it's straight up blue. Um, metallic silver. Trying to think if I do the base. Wondering how like a base of brown would go. And then I kind of stuck this purple in between. That's almost a little bit too close in contrast, isn't it? Let's see how well that kind of blends together too. Yeah, I mean, I could go with that, but it's still a tad too dark. It's still like there's not enough contrast between them. If I were to really don't go well with green, but it is earthy. Now, see, the thing is, if I'm going to go with brown, it's probably better to go with almost like another kind of brown, but like a real light. At least it's kind of same color ish, but different contrast. Because I can go like quite more earthy with her clothes. See, then that way, brown kind of. There's no real rhyme or reason to the pattern on that shirt. Yeah, I might go with that brown and what is this? Sandy beach. I might go with a brown. Yeah, the brown and like the sandy beach. Maybe I could find a darker brown though to really make the contrast. This is straight up brown, so might be burnt umber, burnt sienna. It's got to be just a darker. I don't want to go mahogany, although that might actually work though. So yeah, this is hot chocolate. I think there was a hot chocolate in there. That's just slightly lighter in color, brighter than the straight brown. Mauve. This is going to be more closer to a mahogany though. Just um, mahogany cappuccino. So yeah, this is actually closer. It's a little bit more like dull, a little bit more flat. That edge gonna be touched up on that. I think I broke her tip there. I kind of like that though. The darker. So you got the cappuccino and the sandy beach. Yeah, I actually like that a little bit better. Although the mauve, I think it's close to mahogany. There's a lot of red in it. Yeah. See, I could go for something like. Yeah, that's just a little bit too red. So I like that combination. The mauve and the sandy beach. Let's see. Ruby red. That would be, yeah, that would be really deep red there. It's another. Yeah, there's red umber. Still very red. Okay, there's your straight up orange. I'll play around with those here. So I think between that, I got that. So I might dip back in here. I think I got enough right now to start. Start. Trying to be kind of very careful when it comes down to these colored pencils because depending on their age, the brand, and how much they've been whipped and beaten around, they tend to break. I think they tend to either break internally or they get real brittle, and so sharpening them is a almost a surgical procedure. These ain't too bad. A few of these I hadn't even used. It's I've not really used these art supplies like I should. Some of these are, I don't know how old these colored pencils are. Let me also do this in the trash bag over here, because that's getting full. Alright. Yeah, I did want to do a little bit with the brown, with the oranges here. Because now that I found that straight up orange, I kind of do like. So, probably end up using the orange as a base. Or was it pumpkin orange that I was going to use? Because pumpkin orange is even lighter. Orange, pumpkin orange, and citrus orange. And orange crush. Yeah, tropical punch. It's probably not going to be. These things are so damn close, though. And yeah, the tropical punch, the color is actually closer to what the actual color pigment is closer to the paint on the outside of this mirror. I don't know. Pumpkin orange is going to be lighter. Orange here. I probably should go more for the highlights first. I'm going to try to stand there or do this. Alright. So the citrus orange. Get a good idea of where the light might be. Like I said, a lot of this is just kind of for fun and to put something up on this channel. Yeah, probably should talk to Fox later on and do a anime review or a talk video. We've been planning on it. Yeah, the plan is to do anime reviews, movie reviews, stuff like that. Kind of unk it up over here a little bit as far as, kind of our mild observations of the world and the way things have changed. Different pop culture and stuff like that. Uh, I said we actually get down to getting the meat of the potatoes of what we're trying to accomplish with this comic. So a lot more can be shared out as time goes on. It's just right now at this very moment I'm almost done revamping and editing Arc 1. When he first started writing it, it was a stream of consciousness, basically. It was like, hey, I got this idea for this thing. Sounds really good. Let me just get it on paper. And, though he's done performing arts and said he was a fairly decent writer before, this is the first time he's really undertaken a task like this. So, when I agreed later on to do the artwork, which I kept trying to tell him, like, dude, I'm not all that good. I don't know, like, how much I can help you. The problem is everybody he would try to talk to about it was on this ridiculous shit. Like, don't get me wrong, you want to compensate the person for what they're doing. But when some of these people wanted exorbitant amounts of money just to develop characters, and then they wanted so much per page, which, I get, I'm not exactly sure the going rate, but anymore it's like, depending, 75 to, I don't know, maybe 100 and something if you're just doing straight black and white. Maybe a little bit more. And I think it could go upwards of 300-400 for a top artist per page. For full color, full ink color, everything. So these people were wanting, I think it was something in the neighborhood of like $2,000 or $3,000 per character to develop. I don't know if that was a package deal, all of them, or what. The guy wanted so much in compensation up front, like down payment before anything, which, again, if you're a professional artist, that's what you do is make money, you're going to need something up front to kind of supplement. The idea that there would have to be some front costs in this was not lost on him. But then these people were talking about, like, and they want half of all of the revenue and everything in perpetuity. And I'm like, it's got to be one thing or the other. Like, you're either going to get compensated for the time you're putting into it per page contract and be separate from the project otherwise, or just take half in perpetuity and become partner in it. I'm not part of the, online art community. I probably never will involve myself that deeply in all that because I'm just not playing politics anymore. Politics are really starting to piss me off, and people I mean, if you know what side I lean, but at the same time, like, the whole thing is messed up, the whole thing is fucked, and neither side will listen to the other. Both sides are guilty of certain things. Each side has their thing they're more guilty of, but they're both guilty of gaslighting and doom and gloom and all this other shit. But when you see something on video that clearly happened, it's plain as day, black and white, and people are still denying it. The interview with Yuri Bezmenov back in the 80s, he was not wrong. We are to that point where you could see people can be given photographic evidence, clear as day, clear as crystal, right there in front of your face, and people will still deny it. So, yeah, as far as the art community or like this, these forums, this, that, one, the other, I'm probably not going to participate in all that. So I don't know. I don't know the going rate. I don't know what people expect or think is fair. I don't know, like, as far as Fiverr and all that stuff, what's going on with that, how people expect, the freelancing Fiverr. There's what, Fiverr. There was a couple of them. Now, y'all would know. Freelancer, I think, was another. And those are just kind of your commission type, quick buck kind of things. I think even Casting Call Club has a whole section for writers and artists and shit like that. But I also have a comic project that I'm working on. What the fuck was going on out there? Okay, whatever. I also have a comic project that I've been kicking around and working on. Quite honestly, like, the idea to do it, like, when it seriously hit me, was probably around the beginning of 2004. And I really started outlining and getting a lot of my main ideas down on paper by like '05. And I've just not done anything with it. Between depression and anxiety and other stuff like that, trying to figure out, had to do a lot of figuring out of stuff over the years. It took me a long time to realize, when it come down to anxiety, just how much I was amping myself up internally over nothing. I'd be driving to work with this, feeling of doom, this, like I was driving myself to my own demise. This feeling in the pit of my stomach. I'd be waking up, just immediately, like, rolling over and puking. Well, get to the bathroom, but immediately getting out of bed, going to the bathroom, and just throwing up. And it took me a long time to realize why and what I was doing. And I realized, it's like, wait a minute, I'm not driving to my death. I hate my fucking job. So, a lot of stuff I had to do and change, and I had to get out of there. And I I hate to kind of like clamp on to stuff like this, because I mean, I know I'm saying it now, and even I kind of feel like I did not. I'm not trying to like get attention. I'm just trying to kind of explain it. I'm kind of filling time too while I'm doing this and while I'm talking. But I don't like when people use things like mental illnesses to excuse behaviors. And I know that upsets some people. I get that. I think first and foremost, like you can kind of get a little bit of a pass if you don't know you've got it. But once you kind of know you got it, it's kind of on you to try to wrangle that in the best you can. I always had a feeling it's something like with me, and I'm undiagnosed, but I believe I have quite the streak of ADHD that I did not. I mistook there 10, 12 years, 13, 14 years ago for Asperger's. It took me then, like 2012, like, hey, wait a minute, I think there might be something wrong with me. Substance abuse runs in my family, that's for damn sure. I'm starting to realize my mom was probably slightly on, most of my family probably, all high functioning, but we were all on the spectrum. But I got a lot of this, like, perfectionist. You ever have that fear of that paralyzation that almost perfects? It's like if it's not going to turn out perfect, then why even bother? Kind of shit. If you guys have seen my gaming channel for any amount of time, you guys know I ramble too, which is probably ADHD. I don't know. I hate to just like, oh, I got it, guys. I don't. It's not a flex. I don't like that it interferes with shit, but it explains a lot. And so I don't even know half of what I was getting to by even saying that. The fact is that I've been kicking this idea around for this comic for a long, long time now. And so in talking with Fox, with Cosmic Kitsuname, about his troubles of finding an artist that would even want to work with him, because some of these youngins are on their own brand of politics and stuff too. But yeah, finding somebody that just wasn't ridiculous, or finding somebody that just wasn't charging an exorbitant amount and like wanting all of this and that control over part of the shit. He's like, dude, I can't find anything without either paying a ridiculous amount of money, or lying about my politics, or compromising in some way creatively that I don't want to do. And so he and I had known each other a little while, and we were talking about it. And you ever just kind of meet somebody and you just kind of click? You just kind of, you get each other's brand of humor. You get each other's kind of sayings. Like, neither one of you are on some real, like, dumb shit. Where it seems like a lot of people are just on some dumb shit. It's like wildly judgmental, or wildly, well, actually, shut up, you fuck, And as he and I got talking about it, and realized just how well our sense of humor, our dispositions kind of lined up. The fact that we were both like kind of in a way going toward the same goals of creating. And I told him, I said, let me get back to you on something. Give me a couple of ideas for like one or two characters. Just give me like a couple of examples of what you're trying to look for. Let me play around with and just, one, just to see if I kind of had my head in the game, and two, like to see if he liked what he saw, which I told him, I said, I didn't really like go extreme detail. I was doing very rough draft because I didn't want to dedicate, a shitload of time to basically doing something that I hadn't really fully agreed to yet. Which he said, yeah, sure, that's no problem. And two of his characters, and he really liked what he saw coming back. And he goes, dude, it doesn't have to be like, this masterpiece of whatever. It just has to look like the thing that I'm trying, to convey. He goes, I can tell you've got kind of a natural, like a knack for it anyway. Whether it's perfect or not is, you can always improve. He goes, but I'm finding such a hard time trying to find anybody kind of, on my, I don't want to say like on my level, on this level, but I guess our frequency. Because like saying on your level is kind of implying one's better than, people can be and act and prefer and operate any way they want, and if it's better for them, it's better for them. But as I said before, there's just some people. Open up this can here. Shh. There's just some people out here. You ever met people you just can't get along with? I mean, and to varying degrees. Like, I've met and been around people that I like just didn't click with. And so it's like, okay, you're here, I'm here. Cool, whatever, like. And then there's some people, like, for some reason or another, everything they do, every word that comes out of their mouth, their entire attitude, you just cannot stand them. And I think for a lot of people like he and I, most people fall into that I really got nothing in common with you category, and then there's quite a few people that fall into that I don't think I'm ever going to like you no matter what I do category. And to them, we're probably the same way. We're probably quite, standoffish, and I don't know, we just about different things. And to find somebody that's just like, boom. And to find somebody in his situation where I live more on the east and he lives out west. Still here in the U.S., but he's lived over, east, southeast before. And he goes, man, the difference is night and day. He goes, people out here this way are so rude, are so just, they're divisive, they're vindictive. As he put it, and I don't know if he originally like noticed or came up with it or put it in these words or whether it was somebody else. but like people on the East Coast, they're not nice, but they're kind. As where people on the West Coast, they're nice, but they're not kind. If you have a flat tire out on the East, oh, you'll get a lecture. You'll get a lecture from Jim Bob Billy over there, you know. Just like your city folk to be wandering around out here with the damn spare tire. Boy, what the hell's wrong with you? You don't know how to change a tire. You don't have a jack. But at the same time, he'll be helping you. He'll be taking your tire off, putting your other one on. He'll call you a jackass to your face and change your tire and have you on your way and shake your hand and, you know, I got you pull your head out your ass next time, son. See, out there on the East Coast, or out on the West Coast, it's like, oh, you got a flat tire? Oh, I feel so bad for you. You know, it would be so nice if somebody, you know, could come along and, yeah, I feel sorry, it sucks, right? And then they just wind up, like, not helping you. You know, good luck with that. I'm sorry, I'd rather take Jim Bob or Billy, cuss my ass out, but still fix my tire. And then they'll still shake your hand. They'll still shake your hand and call you a dumbass. But at least they'll fix your damn tire for you, you know, if you need it. And that's the thing. You know, it seemed like a lot of people, and it just depends on where you go, who you are, where you grew up at, just how people act. So, it's citrus orange. Okay, so now I can start kind of coming back here and doing some pumpkin orange. He goes, trying to work with somebody at all like that is just bad enough. And it's starting to get to where a lot of people are just kind of crazy. He goes, man, to find somebody kind of operating on my frequency, just, you know, it's just rough. So the agreement between he and I was like, look, I got you know, I need to be getting better. I need to be trying to be more productive. I need to try to do what I got to do to accomplish the things I wanted to accomplish. I said, well, we can work together, I guess. You know, try to help out, whatever. It's just I'm gonna do whatever I can right now in my free time because I drive. So, but you know, that's kind of what you want to do. We can work out something, I guess. And so I told him, I said, the thing is, if I'm going to be doing the drawing and everything too, and kind of laying out page storyboard, I told him, I said, I'm going to need to know what it is that I'm looking at, what it is that I'm kind of getting into, because how I did though, I only did what, yeah, I didn't even do the highlights like that last time. I just kind of went over these lines with this darker orange. But yeah, I told him, I said, I'm gonna have to like know what it is that I'm drawing, what it is that, you know, like the story, and what it is that I'm kind of you know, drawing and doing in order to be able to better help you get what you want out. And so I told him, I said, let me rewrite, not like totally from the ground up, like screw your opinions or whatever, just kind of just comb through and kind of make sure that things flow, that they're consistent, that people, places, things, like the basic core A to B to C to D, I left entirely alone. I added some dialogue, some jokes. I think I even added like some stuff here and there. really kind of fleshed out the characters. And yeah, now it's to the point he's like, dude, I absolutely, I've helped him, write ideas, write concepts and stuff too. There's a whole like mechanic in there that wasn't in there or was barely in there from the beginning. That I told him, if we make this kind of a running gag, I kind of think it was kind of like a show within a show, essentially. It was only supposed to be just kind of a one-off thing. I told him, I said, no, if you're going to do this, like make this a mainstay. Like, it's got to be a reoccurring kind of all the time thing. And then this kind of evolved into, by the time the third arc comes around, it's actually a pivotal part of the story. Let me just put it that way. So, like, I've been doing things to help out to flesh out the story, keep things consistent, and so he's halfway through arc 6, and he's got basically 10 books apiece. Now, the way he wrote some of them end up being a little bit longer, some of them end up being shorter. I told him, I said, at least right now with arc 1, like the way I'm seeing it, and so we're going to have to know how it's going to lay out on the paper, the storyboard, how many frames, how much, and how, lengthwise the book is going to be, lengthwise. We might be able to get away with combining. And so instead of 10 books in the first arc, it'll be 5. And we'll do 5 books in arc. If we can get something where we gotta... This book here is what? Well, this only talking about here, so we're talking about... It's probably 50 pages. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So, yeah. We're looking at anywhere from, this book here is about 50 pages. What's this 40 anime cat girls, which is 40 pieces of paper. I guess 80, because of front and back. So if we get something maybe, where it's like 100 and, at least about 150, front and back. So this is about 40 pieces of paper, maybe give or take. There's some extra. There's an order form in the back of this too. So that's about 80 pages, front and back. Something about that, double that. So we're talking about 160. If we can hit right around 150, 160, front and back pages, for the story part. And then we can do... I want to run stuff like fake ads, fake comic book ads, that have a lot to do with, like the shit going on in the comic book. There's also, some supplemental story stuff, too. So, like right or maximum with all of everything. I told him, I said, I kind of maybe think we can, like 200 pages. So it'll be 100 pieces of paper, 200 front and back. Because I think there's some places that once it gets over 100 pages, they start charging more. I mean, it depends on what you get. It's how much they charge anyway. But like after 100, if they'll even do it, it's an immediate price hike. Someone said, but we'll have to see how how the story plays out, how everything lays out on the pages. So we've got anywhere, depending on how you slice it, not counting the supplementary stuff, 65 issues. If we took them all as he wrote them one by one. If not, we've got about 32-ish, 30 some, which is good. What's going on is that, one, he's dealing with issues of his own. I know I said this in the Final Fantasy video, one of the last ones I did on my gaming channel. But since I'm over here, I'm on my main. Subscribe to the gaming channel too, if you'd like. Blah blah blah. You know. But he's dealing with issues at home right now, and his goal, his philosophy is kind of, I need to write and do everything I can now, because I may be in a position before too long where I'm going to be held up more. And so I want to get everything that I possibly can done in the time that I have to do it before I'm indisposed. So, yeah, well, that makes sense. Plus, we've been doing research and looking around and seeing how other manga artists and other, in the business have been doing it, and you come to find out that a lot of these manga artists, a lot of these creators, they will come up with a concept, or they will maybe prototype out their first, idea, their first book, their first whatever. They'll get a nice little, intro, starter, prototype, whatever. Get their funding or their approval or their contract or whatever. If some of them who've had a good track record, if someone like, say, a Rumiko Takahashi, who's been making stuff like this for quite a while, today would come up with, hey, I got this idea to do this, this, and that, because of her track record, they would more than likely give her the money, or front her, or make sure she's got the contract to do whatever. And I don't know how she self-publishes, or how she publishes, if she self-publishes, or I'm sure she was going through, a third party anyway. But she's got the track record of her performance. But some of these people, they don't, and then they get these ideas to do this stuff, and they really just go on a whim. Like, okay, cool, that sounds good. And then they spend all this time trying to play beat the clock as far as their deadlines, their stuff. They end up writing themselves in corners. Sometimes if the stuff does get animated, it ends up being like, sometimes it falls behind of the anime, of the sometimes the animation is so close behind the manga that they either have to run filler or something, or they write themselves in corners. There's a lot of these books, there's a lot of these IPs. This kind of caution been thrown to the wind, and they just try to figure it out as they go. And he goes, that's one thing that he's like, that's one thing I don't want to do. When you do that, you don't have the room for uh, foreshadowing. You don't have the room to kind of do other stuff. So the last thing he wants to kind of do some shit that don't make no sense. And so I mean, quite honestly, like it's I think maybe he's got another arc or two left. Maybe three. If he wanted to kind of like finish the story and end it. I'm just thinking that there's a lot of people out there that are just kind of winging it when it comes down to some of this stuff, and it's just it's where you get the burnout, the I don't know. Yeah, again, I'm rambling like God knows what, but I told him that ideally, if I can get down to getting the first arc revamped, and then I got to start working on character designs. That ideally, we get the character designs done, then we could start working on the storyboard. Once we get everything laid out, start drawing and get all that stuff, like that'll be kind of more on me to do. But the whole thing being I want to have almost I want to have several, at least two. Well, plus an issue zero, a teaser issue. I kind of talked him into maybe we ought to do like a teaser issue, a trailer issue to kind of get attention on and foreshadow the story. You know, like a prologue kind of deal. Prologue come first, or is it I think epilogue is after. But I think it's prologue I'm thinking of before. It basically kind of sets up the overarching world, the overarching, and by overarching I mean like, you know, almost top tier, like substrate, like everything that all this is, you know, if we're talking about like the stories, everyday goings on of people, the substrate is basically like the mechanics of the universe kind of shit. Like, it's damn, go down. The issue zero will kind of lay out the extreme basis for everything that's going on. And I don't know what the heck's up with that armband though. Like, I don't know what aesthetic choice that they went with on that. But yeah, I told him, I said I want to at least have two issues drawn and done up and ready. And then that way, when we do I say Kickstarter, although we're not going to use Kickstarter. I think the whole, like it's kind of become, a brand name has kind of become the term for anything anymore. But the crowdfunding, essentially. See, that's irritates me too. They don't close off certain shit. But with the crowdfunding, we'll probably go with Indiegogo, because a couple of people that we like to listen to and I've been monitoring for a while also use Indiegogo. Uh, they still take a good chunk of money. Kickstarter is Kickstarter is one of those deals that, like, and they shouldn't, but if they don't like your politics, you might not even get your money, or they might refund everything and tell you to go eat a fat one. So I ain't doing all that. I mean, he and I are not politically correct by any means, nor are we going to try to stay that way. Like, it ain't just some outward offensive, just for the sake of just being the most, like, offensive and, as we can kind of thing, but we just have our own ideas and our own personal beliefs. And I was born in like the early, like, kind of mid '80s. He was born in the early to mid '90s. But when I was born in the early '90s, shit was just different then. Shit was just more accepted. Ideas, concepts were just more accepted. Things were kind of taken as, like, common sense. And some people are so overly sensitive. Some people got this, I don't know, savior complex that they want to be the one to point it out. They want to be the one to jump up there and declare to everybody how they've pointed out this thing that they think is wrong, and somebody, anybody but me, should do something about it. And then, when nobody does anything, tells them sit down, they get upset, they start enacting their own form of whatever, in the form of sometimes committing the assault that they expected everybody else to do for them, but nobody would. And then, that's how people meet the man upstairs, I guess, or spend time in jail, or however the case may be. I mean, no matter how right you think you are and how wrong you think somebody is, enacting violence upon them should not be your first, second, or third option. I mean, even in some of the most egregious cases of, objectively horrible shit, your first priority should be getting to the already established order of the way we've got set up to deal with those things. Does that institution have its problems? Abso-fucking-lutely it does. That's why we've also got systems in place to get in to deal with. And look, like, I know everybody's at their wits' end. Things ain't going fast enough for people. Nobody knows what's going on anymore. The complaining, stuff doesn't seem to be getting done. I get all of that. But I'm just not going to tiptoe around people anymore. Like, I have my ideas and, the way I see things, and other people have the way they see things. Again, I'm rambling like hell over here. But, I mean, essentially, Kickstarter's a no-go. Because it's whatever they think, whatever they say, whatever the people running it. I'm not going to be at their whims. I mean, by the law, they can't do that unless we're actually breaking the law, which we are not. Writing stories, and even if some of the subject matter might be a little bit touchy, isn't illegal. And some of the subject matter is touchy. Um, by the end of the first arc, there's some kind of fucked up shit that it kind of takes a twist that way. So, see, the way the way I think I put it to him, I said, "Well, think what we got going on here is I guess what I might dub, or what we're gonna call the Triple H, the hentai horror and humor, because I mean, it's not like everybody's just, at the drop of a hat, everybody just gets into a pile and starts fucking. Well, I I say that, I take that back because it opens up that way, but it's kind of one of those weird, almost demon possession. I don't know that this thing happened, and when this thing happens, it makes people lose their shit, and this whole planet kind of fucked and slashed themselves to death, kind of thing. So, but yeah, that's like there's some basic nudity in it within the first issue or two. There's elements of horror and gore, suspense. There's humor. A lot of kind of horsing around, joking around, different shit like that. So we're kind of giving it a good mix. It's not purely any one thing. Now, when I told them what we are, what we are going to have to the line, that we are going to not skate on as far as. Well, I mean, the thing is, when it comes down to the horror, we can get away with a lot of stuff, but eventually it's going to be like, okay, how far is too far, and what are we doing here? With hentai, I mean, there's hentai and I think eroge. Basically, there's a differentiation between nudity, implied sexual contact, and then outright explicit, you know, medically accurate depictions. I told him, let's stay away from the medically accurate depiction stuff. We could show them doing stuff as long as we don't show the machinery, the actual bits doing stuff. And that's only because it does classify it as something else. And I don't want, like I told myself, it's not that I have a problem doing it. It's that once you get to that point, you're kind of classifying it as something else. And so it just depends on, like, how, if it's going to be searched or it's going to be put in what category or what retailer or whatever's going to handle it. I don't know. Like, we're going to be skating the lines anyway, but I want to figure out for the cuffs of her shirt too. But let me get these spaces colored in with this lighter one. I think that was a good choice going with that dark, because it's not a crazy contrast. Yeah, it's not a crazy contrast. I mean, it's not a crazy like as far as color, but it is a nice contrast. I might still have to go over the dark brown a little bit just to kind of set that in there. But I mean, essentially what we're doing, we're taking our love of anime, kind of more classic anime. I mean, we're talking maybe touching on some of the 70s stuff because it really started hitting its stride as far as like modern tropes and things. And it depended on what it was. Like Lupin, for example, been around since I think the mid 70s. There was, just a lot of neat shit going on there. And then, into the 80s and especially 90s. But by the time like the 2000s come along, stuff just kind of started falling apart some. Not entirely all at once, because there's still some good titles from 2000, 2001, 2002, 2000, hell up to about 2008, 2009. There's still some decent shit. But it started getting to the point with the digitization that the computers, the way the stories were told, the different stuff just kind of started looking the same and feeling the same, and the same subject material just kind of rehashed. We're right now we've got so many like isekai stories that it's not funny. There's so many just whisked away to another world. If it's not straight isekai, it's like harem shit, which harem is fine if it's done correctly. But even the harem stuff has kind of been overdone. So it just depends on kind of how you're doing it anymore. And I'm like, wouldn't it be nice to one of the main reasons why anime even became as popular over here as it did, we had a lot of neat shit in the 80s. We had a fairly decent amount of neat shit in the 90s. But everything kind of started falling off a cliff come around the late 90s. And so nobody was really, there wasn't a lot of real good stuff. Weren't really paying attention to, I don't know. Once we started getting stuff like Dragon Ball Z, and then the younger kids got Pokemon, the animation. I think we had the games came over here a little bit before that, but no, I remember like 98 and into 99, you could not go any fucking where without seeing Pokemon. It's just that the stories and the productions, the shows, the stuff we were getting over here now, it was starting to become trash. Nobody really was paying that much attention or cared. Japan offered more in terms of new stories, new ways of telling them, different subject matter. You've got a real problem here, and even it's even this way now, but you can see the decline. Like kids shows. Take a look at kids shows today and compare them to kids shows 30, 40 years ago. And the difference is night and day. We've infantilized these kids. I mean, it used to be like Mr. Rogers would do field trips, show you reels about how peanut butter was made and how musical instruments were made, and took you, to the Luray Caverns and watch them play a damn they had this organ, or this fucking piano, organ basically, that somehow or another, about like doorbells and shit, where they would ping on the stalactites. You could play the stalactites. I don't know about today, if it's still, the integrity's still intact. Yeah, that's gonna be. Yeah, that's a little bit too yeller. Uh, but yeah, you would basically go on a field trip, or Mr. Rogers would sit you at the table and show you how to do stuff. Am I a big head noise? He would show you how to, I don't know, make an ice cream sandwich, or talk to you about the importance of being honest and talking to your parents. And at one point in time, Mr. Rogers even vaguely, of course, they still had to kind of dance around for kids, but even vaguely went over where babies come from. They used a cat as an example, and he would say something to the effect of, that's even more yellow. That Stardust was probably better than, like, just like how mommies and daddies, and they love each other very much, and, I mean, that was kind of the whole, when a mommy cat and a daddy cat love each other very much, but, I mean, down to, when it's time, the kittens emerge from a special opening, and this was Mr. Rogers. He would explain to you stuff. He didn't talk down to you. Kids shows now are, where's the kitty? Do you see the kitty? Anybody see the kitty? What color is the kitty? Meow, meow, kitty, meow. Like, See the shapes, see the colors, see the, look over here, look over there, Now it's blue, now it's green, but it was always orange. You know, it's so bad. It's so infantilized. I think probably the closest thing, and I would have to really, I'm saying this kind of only barely on what I've. It still don't look like. This, I think she's gonna be a little bit pale, but she's gonna have. So I gotta find something a little bit different. Uh, the only one here lately that I've seen that I think if I had kids, I probably would let them watch. And that's even saying something in that it's still kind of pushing issues, pushing things on them that the kids don't really. I would say in this case, not that they don't need to know, but some of this stuff, like you start giving kids complexes over shit, it's whatever. This one at least is the less egregious of all of them is Bluey. The whole thing with Bluey, I've also noticed too, apparently they've put the show on hiatus, maybe I think even indefinitely, I'm not sure. Because the kids that star in it, they want the kids to have a childhood. They don't want them just for the rest of their young natural life voicing these characters and, so I get it. But some of this shit, like, God. And again, part of that's the old person in me. Part of that's the old crotchety fuck in me. I was going to say, I wonder if I can't lay down a... Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to lay down a base of this stardust and lay this terracotta over top of it. We've just infantilized. The whole society is just infantilized in general. When I was growing up, we used to have shows where the characters would be fighting each other. And I don't care, YouTube. I'm just saying, whatever. Where the characters would be, battling each other with weapons, with actual weapons, with guns, with, there was a lot of stakes, high stakes involved in. I mean, to be honest, y'all want to see some shit. Like y'all want to see some shit. And now, Super Sentai, for those of you who are in the know, if you remember Power Rangers here, that's where they got the concept for that, was they basically took the visuals from Super Sentai already from like season 12 or 13 or something like that. And they reshot and they redubbed the visuals for when the kids were in high school and stuff. The characters that we know and love as far as the Power Rangers go, when they weren't in the suits, they did all that. And then all the battle footage was actually from the actual show. And the show itself, Super Sentai and Power Rangers, almost immediately from that point on, started splitting and diverging into two separate entities. So what we And what a lot of y'all know, I stopped watching Power Rangers when they switched to Zeo because I thought it was so ridiculous. I mean, we already went through a couple of cast changes, the power changes, a couple of villain changes, and then like everything changed up. The cast, the villain, the powers, everything just, it was a complete wipe and start all over again. Although we did keep a few characters. I'm just like, come on now. Like, how much of this, they're going to keep doing? Power Rangers came out just right, how do I say, just in time for me. Like, it was, I was already somewhat on the way out of liking a lot of that, or close to, when it came out. So yeah, it was a big deal for me. And I'm sure it was a big deal for some of our classmates, although a lot of them were getting to that point even then, where it was one of those things that you wouldn't be caught dead saying you liked, but you also knew that they were secretly watching this shit too, fuckers. I'm sorry, they were. It was such a cultural phenomenon. It was such a powerhouse back in the day. You watch Power Rangers, Mighty Morphin Potty Trainers. And yeah, they were watching the shit. You know it. But, what we got over here was tame, even in comparison to what they had over there. That one I'm gonna have to color in. I think this here would pretty much be. See, some of these lines are so, like, iffy as to where this shit could actually be. But, yeah, what we got over here was tame in comparison to even the season they ripped Super Sentai, or, ripped from Super Sentai. Go back and watch the OG first season Japanese pilot episode of Super Sentai, the OG first episode ever. Holy shiata. I believe there was 4 or 5. I think it's always kind of been at least 5, like, members. Anyway, like, this wasn't even powers. They didn't even have like powers, or this was just kind of a roving group of vigilantes. Kind of form their own shit. The premise is, and I can't remember what the organization was called now. It's been so damn long since I saw need to go back and watch it. I was just kind of watching to see the contrast of it and was blown away at just the sheer gratuity of it all. Let's just say. So each of the members were basically the sole survivors of either like a platoon or a group or something that they were involved in, because this organization is the evil, the bad guys or whatever, wanted all of them done away with. And so you end up basically getting out of whatever group, each group, five people who individually were the sole survivors of that particular incident, and they end up getting together with each other and fighting against the thing. But the way it happens is that, like, the one group or whatever, they were in this warehouse or this, I don't know, this lab or something, and they just bust down the door. There's no, hey, stop right there, what you're doing. Don't move. Hey, get over here. Who are you? No. Five dudes just walk into this room with machine guns and fucking play lawnmower. Done. There's no talking. There's no, hey, stop, what are you doing? Get over here. Come here. We want to just grenade in, lawnmower. Just straight brutality. In one instance, they were like in the snow in the like some winter. It's like almost like a platoon or whatever, and grenades, bombs and shit are going off. People are getting blown up. People are getting shot. I'm like, what the fuck? This is a kid's show? And then when you see the main bad guy, mind you, it was Japan. Mind you, it was in the 70s. But see, I still hate that I gotta kind of skate around. The bad guy had a hood on and a robe, and he looked like a grand wizard is what he looked like. I mean, the resemblance was undeniable. And I'm like, wow, they put this in a kid's show? Yeah. But of course, this was Japan too. And the other thing being that a lot of times the symbolism of things aren't the same, or, don't mean the same. The visuals might be, but the actual meaning behind isn't. I mean, everybody knows the Buddhist symbol that got turned sideways and used by a certain regime in World War II. Everybody knows that they took that. It was a symbol of peace, and they turned it into a symbol of division or hatred or, whatever you want to call it. Whether, some people say he was fighting for his country, and other people say he was just, evil incarnate. That's not the argument I'm going to have now. We're seeing a lot of similarities as to why a person like that would come to power. Again, I don't condone it. We should be judiciously and trying to work out stuff between us, but I'm kind of starting to understand at least, the sentiment of what brought it all about, what took place, and why, and how things were dealt with after the fact. I don't agree with. But everybody was in agreement then that a change needed to be made. It's how we move forward from here and actually enact and try to enforce that change. But I believe the whole like hood and wizard's robe type shit in Japan kind of more closely resembles like ghosts. Which again, yes, I think that's what the whole point of the clan was to kind of invoke that. But it's the difference between cutting two holes in a sheet and going like Charlie Brown as a ghost and doing that whole thing to scare people, like to put fear in their hearts, kind of stuff. It's the difference between, looks like and means. And I guess it was just rough. But we're talking 70. I don't think it was any earlier than 76, but I want to say it might have been 78. Yeah, it was rough. You know what? If I were to, I see the streaky with this. Maybe if I could kind of, actually, what I'm hearing, as far as colored pencils and stuff like that go, the white's actually supposed to be to kind of blend colors. It's never was never meant as like, oh, color this white. It was meant to be a blending tool. But like I say, going back to, I don't want anybody to misconstrue me. I am not condoning at all what happened with that certain group in World War II. I agree that there's a change that needs to be made. And I agree that a lot of people, because he was voted in, a lot of people felt a certain way about the way their country was going. And this person happened to be there and happened to present a solution. His solution was not a fucking good one. Or should I say the way he went about I agree that things needed to be done, but it didn't need to be done that way. Like, just these people should have been relocated and put somewhere else in a more humane and thoughtful way instead of, who cares, let's just get rid of them. Like, get rid of them, get rid of them. Yeah, that was ridiculous. That's there's a difference between, look, we really can't have you here, and we don't want you anywhere. That's, not condoning that. I'm just like, but we kind of, cultures exist and people exist and work within cultures. Um, any other group will tell you that they want to preserve their culture, their heritage, their history. These cultures and things are what they are because they've been allowed to be themselves and operate on their own for all this time. Now you want to start like forcing other cultures together and other cultures that don't want to mix or don't want to have anything to do with the other ones surrounding it. You can't do that. Your people aren't going to be very cohesive if half of them or more just don't want to get along with the place, the people in the place that they settle into. They should have their own place to do their own things. And it's, even if so, it's like, hey, you can come over here and talk to me for a while and then go back. I got this cool stuff over here that you might like, and hey, I like that cool thing over there. Can I trade you this for this? Sure, cool, thank you very much. Now, live over there, and I'll live over here, and maybe we'll come and meet, have coffee in the middle once. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with wanting to associate with your own people, your own culture, your own religion. A great deal about some. And look, that's just the way I feel. I don't believe anybody needs to die. I don't believe anybody has the right to pass that kind of judgment like that. But you don't have the right to come into somebody else's house, start setting up shop. You just don't. But the thing is, the world's going all to shit. And I figure, we'll just make comics, we'll make stuff for all the rest of us to try to enjoy while we're still here. But that's the thing too, is anime became popular over here because in contrast it was better than what the hell else we had over here. There was, what was it, G4, there was Sci-Fi was playing anime and stuff too every now and again. There was other different channels and outlets that were playing stuff, but when Adult Swim came along in 2001, well, at first they were just playing. Well, you had Toonami. Toonami came along too, was playing their stuff for a while. But so by the time 2002, 2003 came along, like it was pretty much on. We started getting eyes on anime, and anime had a damn good run for a while. But like everything, like anime was kind of taken from Disney. Disney now has kind of tried to copy anime. And anime in turn is kind of, it's kind of homogenized. It's kind of doing its own thing now. But it's gone stagnant too. It's not really doing anything different or anything much. It's not really innovating anymore. So what he and I are doing with this comic is we are going to take Western concepts, the more superhero stuff, kind of Western culture in a way. There's going to be some, but the kind of more Western as far as the way we operate over here every day. And then we're going to tell it, with an Eastern twist, with an anime twist. Like we're still going to do, like the art style is going to be more anime. The art style, I want to try to see if I can replicate that 80s, 90s kind of look. Because there's a certain point in time where anime got so mainstream, it got so... Basically, there was a point where back in the day when I first started watching it, and I was even going back like a little bit before what was out at the time that I was watching it, noticing it. When I was watching anime, I knew and felt I was watching anime. And now it's not got the same... It's not got the same feel. It's not got the, it feels like anything else, unfortunately. So, yeah, that's the only problem there. I need to take a quick break here for a second. And, yeah, I will be right back with this. Just, yeah, give me a few minutes here. I'll cut it and I'll paste it back in. But, alright, I'm back. Yeah, like I said, we want to do the, kind of Western concepts with an anime twist. A lot of the kind of humor and the way stuff is presented is going to be kind of Eastern, but Western concepts. Like one of the main things too we were talking about was when it comes down to, like, say, a lot of these anime episodes, when they do their beach episode or they do their vacation or filler episode type shit, they will go to, say, the beach or festival or something, something like that. Hot Springs was the one we were kind of really pointing out. And it's like, yeah, that's fine. That's all well and good for them. Not saying we won't still do a fan service, daily, of course. But we're probably going to do more like, say, going down to the beach. Going down to, not the beach, like the creek, like the river and shit, maybe having like bonfires and shit, or do more like county fair type festival stuff. Barbecue, good old fashioned barbecues. we're mainly taking a lot of, so right there, like that, just see, it's this. Where the hell are the other fingernails at? Like, might have to be. Oh well. Yeah, like some kind of metallic silver for. The thing is, there's so many damn like isekai and harem things anymore, or the convoluted names of some of this shit. It's just so bad that like none of it makes any damn sense anymore. I probably could have done green eyes too, but kind of gray, hazel, almost like bluish, gray blue works there. So, what if I do, if I can find black, or maybe I'll just use a, I don't know. There it is. Here in the bottom, man. So, I should have done that with the marker like I did over here. Alright, well, I guess. I don't know, whatever the hell color I'm gonna make that thing. think it's a kitty. I think it's a kitten. I don't know. For the most part, I mean, for the most part, she's done. Yeah, where was that light? Sandy. Yeah, we're just trying to, when it comes down to the comic, and we're just trying to write stuff we like, that we used to like, that we know we still like. I think everybody else will enjoy too. But we're trying to go back to the way some of the stuff was when we grew up. As opposed to whatever this stuff is turned into now. And I know that's such a an unk and old man thing, whatever to say, excuse kids back in my day, but I don't know. When at least back in the day, a lot of kids our age, a lot of kids my age, were not going back and watching or dealing with a lot of the stuff their parents liked or their grandparents. Like some of it was so old it was cool again. Like, I remember being kind of quite familiar with like 1950s and 1960s music because like when they want to start doing like the plays or the shows or for some reason a lot of Broadway and musical stuff was kind of becoming popular to do in school. I mean, it probably is still now, but it could be a darker red. But for the most part, yeah, a lot of us in a lot of us in school were not running back to go, watch or listen to or participate in the shit that my grandpa or my mom liked. People my mom's age. That's where it's funny. I grew up on a lot of that shit. While all my classmates were listening to Marilyn Manson and Korn and Nine Inch Nails and Nirvana, and I was listening to the Bee Gees and Motown, and you know, I was the weird kid. I was the what the hell is he still listening? What the hell is he listening to that old shit for? Kind of. Damn it, where was that chocolate one? Because that actually would do good on this. Orange peels? What the hell that was that a while ago? I kind of had that, before I really even knew what it was, or I kind of had that fucking. Of course, I think there was a lot of homosexual connotation underneath that too. Thinking of Catcher in the Rye, Holden Caulfield. Yeah, I just kind of had that Holden Caulfield thing going on in a way. It was like, oh, did you check out this show here, or this? Oh, it's so great, isn't it? Y'all a bunch of sheep, normie follower, like, who gives a damn about that superficial, fake phony shit? Like, yeah, I just didn't care for. That's gonna be orange, isn't it? Oh well, it's drizzle on cheesecake. It don't matter. But yeah, it just there was a custard here somewhere. Gold mustard. I just really wasn't into much of what was popular, at least not popular. Like, I was still into shit that was out at the time that, like I said, with Power Rangers, and I like the stuff that, I like the stuff that, like, I kind of wasn't supposed to like, as far as via my other classmates. So this got to be a cheesecake, but screw it, it'll be a honeydew custard strawberry cheesecake with chocolate noodle nut dribble, I guess. It's a new kind of cheesecake. But yeah, a lot of the music that was out then, I didn't really like or cared for then. I think the only reason why I kind of like it now was because of the nostalgia. Just it was kind of the background, the soundtrack to my younger life. But the problem is when you got like even Gen Z going back now, and I mean, apparently they're picking up vinyl too, but they're picking up cassette tapes and all manner of stuff. It's just kind of. They're going back and playing the older retro video games. They're going back and watching the older TV shows and stuff. I've seen videos of parents showing their little ones, and this was even only as recent as a couple years ago. There probably are still videos out there now So I don't frequent a lot of those videos because it's, other shit I watch. Sometimes when it's amusing or meme worthy or viral worthy. But I've seen videos where they just where they're showing their youngins the stuff they watched when they grew up, and they're eating this stuff up. They're loving it. So yeah, I know I've kind of rambled off some. We got a lot in the works that we're planning on. Essentially, what we're our goal kind of long term when we start getting this taken care of is we want to do shirts and mugs, and we want to do merch, of course. But like in that merch, see right there. Should have done that earlier with the fingernail too. But what we want to do all different kinds of stuff for merch. I've thought of doing like with the characters, doing cheesecake and beefcake calendars, doing have one have one calendar, for the girls, for the ladies, with the male characters, and you know, speedos or shirtless or doing whatever, and have one for the dudes where the female characters are in bikinis or just in a towel or kind of scantily clad. I've even thought of making like themed cookbooks and making themed like drink books, recipe books based on the characters and their preferences and what they would like. Um, and I've already talked this over with him, but he can clarify and let everybody know too. It's like anything that I've done on my game channel, as far as anything I've said, done here now. Now, like final product, is, copying it outright. Yeah, there will kind of be a little bit of a line there. Obviously, I mean, you can't just outright. But what I mean is like all the YouTube presence, uh, this and that, and even when it comes down to the realm of parody, fan art, fair use, we absolutely have no problem with anybody doing whatever they want to do. The only thing we ask is that you just link back to, give credit to the original inspiration, and you can do anything with any of the characters that you would like, up to and even including your own fan fiction, shipping, gender, race swapping, sexuality swapping, anthropomorphizing. I mean, anything. As long as you let it know that it's it's not official. It's not As long as you let it be known that it's inspired by the original work. And yeah, we don't give a damn what you do with it. As long as you link it back to the original, you know. Because see, here's the thing. It's like it's the Streisand effect. If we jump out here and say, don't do it, well, that's going to make people do it even harder. So, we figure, just do whatever you may like to it, or with it, or, about it. Because here's the problem: us fighting against it, we're never gonna fight it. We never win a battle against the entire internet for fighting against it anyhow. And he and I, we've been around the internet enough to know. We, we, we've been around long enough to know you ain't picking a fight with the internet and winning. I mean, not to mention, like, personally, we really, it's not even just we can't fight again. But personally, we just don't care. Like, we know that's what the fandom is. We know it's going to be done anyway. We know that's what the fandom is, and we would be very flattered and very happy if people thought enough of our stuff to actually parody and actually do, stuff inspired by. So yeah, go nuts. Because quite honestly, as a matter of fact, that he and I were talking about it, that we're probably going to be putting out like official shit anyway. Like, I may turn around and citrus one again. Yeah, we may turn right around and do something with the characters, explicit style. Through an officially sanctioned channel. So it's going to be, it's pretty much going to be whatever it's going to be. Yeah, at the end of the day, there's really no sense in trying to fight against it. But yeah, we do even kind of want to, like I said, I told him we need to make, like, we need to make specialty stuff nobody's really doing either, or doing all that often when it comes down, especially, bespoke works like this. I actually would like to make a board game. We're thinking about having like a card game or a card set. I mean, I especially want to do trading cards. Like that, we used to have trading cards for different IPs back in the day. Like, we used to have stuff like that. And I don't know what this is on this sandwich. To be honest, that might be a cream puff. Everything else is sweets. Why would that be, or a macaron? Why would that be a burger, or why would that be an avocado burger? I don't know. Let me find that custard. There it is. that's actual. It's supposed to be custard. I think that's supposed to be a cream puff. I don't know. You know what? Let's have fun with these metallic colors. There's a few of them in here. Damn it. Oh, well, that bullseyed right up underneath the door of my refrigerator. Like, no shit, just... Hey, I'm going up under here for a while. Wish me luck. Fucking... It said nope. Damn, what the heck? That went, damn. You son of a bitch. Damn, that fucker went all the way under there. Like, wow, are you kidding me? When I say that pencil went up under that refrigerator, up under the door of that little refrigerator, I mean, it went under there. It went clear up under there. I mean, at least it was just a pencil and not a colored pencil, but yeah. That son of a bitch went right up under there. So I got plenty of just, regular pencils. I will dig that damn thing out later. I got a back scratcher somewhere around here, long enough handle I can fish that out probably. It's another. No, don't do that. Fuck. So they just all want to go up under there, huh? Hell, dude. Another silver. I know there's a gold one in here, too. I had the silver one out. Alright, there's the metallic silver. There's a metallic gold somewhere, and I think there's a metallic green. There's the gold. There it is. It's more of a blue-green, but it's... No, there it is. Metallic. There you go. Yeah, I think that was all of them. There might be a... I think this was it, of the metallic colors. Damn, that was ground damn near to the nub. What did I use that for? Alright. Still don't know what color to make that creature. Kitty or whatever the hell. Oh, it's gotta be a cat. It's got mittens. But yeah, what did I say? I want to do a board game, possibly, a card game, card set, like trading card style. Probably even do like stickers. Definitely gonna do posters. One of the characters in particular, but we'll do them with just about any for anybody who wants. What's that? Is that truck out there starting up? Or? I don't know. There's one character in particular, though, that's, I told him, I said, after I started revamping and kind of fleshing out her personality and adding stuff in there and all that, I just dead ass, I'm like, this character here, she's going to be waifu material. You know that, right? He goes, yeah, I kind of figured that. I said, well, that means we're going to have to focus a lot on merch for her, especially like the hug pillow covers, the Dakimakura covers. She's also got an animal form, and so that's going to have to be done into a plushie too eventually, probably. So, but yeah, there's definitely going to be posters and hats, hoodies. Yeah, just we'll have the basic merch, of course. One of the things, like we do want to try to work on getting into animation later. That's way later. But maybe even like either make it into a game, like a fighting game, at least with the characters or some kind of something. Or I mean, we could do something like with RPG Maker and make a kind of role-playing game out of that too, dungeon crawler, and we could do a lot of stuff with it. Um, like we're eventually going to have a compendium. Like, yeah, I don't want to give away all the plans before we kind of get everything ironed out, but yeah, we kind of have really been putting a lot of thought and a lot of dreams into what we want to do with this. So this will be one of these things in the future. I'm doing this way now so that I'll kind of have the method set up when I'm actually, because I will record a lot of this stuff. It's basically then going to be left up to him how he wants to release it. Like right now, at this moment, until we really start getting down the production and the campaign, and we really kind of don't want to divulge a whole lot yet. a whole lot of specifics. But that broke clean off, didn't it? Yeah, that broke clean off of there. Still got a ways to go, don't it? I don't know if that still broke clean off of there or not. Yeah, as you can see, I'm starting to get sloppier too. I've been staring at this the last, so long. That damn wind is blowing out there like a son of a bitch too. It's just the edges of the book gold. That's a little bit there. I should use some kind of green for the background. Candy apple red for the ears. I don't want to leave the cap white. A big old gray cat. Are they Russian blue or? Dark, dark. Alright, buried in there again. Oh well, let's fake it. Throw a little bit of shade of something on the background. I do with. I'm not gonna go like ridiculous and crazy on that. A lot of sparkles though. Oh, let's do it with the other ones too. Metallic. Why not? It's all sparkly anyway. I remember how I did the last one. I think I did some weird like dithering on these. Yeah, I did. Kind of made the edges a little bit darker. Anyway. Let's kind of get this nice little shade of green going on in the background here. I'll probably be about ready to wrap this one up. Yeah, it doesn't need to be like, you know, crazy like the last one. But yeah, we got a little bit going on in the works. It's still going to be a little while before we get anything to really show, but I wanted to at least do this one while I talked and rambled in my own way about God knows what. Oh yeah, I forgot to do the cupcake part. And we'll give it a nice shiny silver foil. Cupcake paper. So yeah, if you'd like me to go back to the old, to the other, the way I was doing it the first couple times, just not talking, writing down, you know, and I probably won't ramble on as much or crazy the next time I do so, if I do talk, but I think that's pretty decent. What do you reckon? Yeah, okay. Six. Yeah, see, that'd have been a while since I finished that too. I'm gonna try to do more of these. If I push this up here, though, it's not going to be in focus, probably. At least the best I can get it. It's going to kind of wash it out some. Yeah, I think that turned out good. Like I said, sorry if, just kind of ranting and off on a tangent some, and, sorry if not a lot of it made any sense, but, what you gonna do? I mean, I could do better, but, yeah, unless I get a script and I'm, like, trying to perform, I'm not really coherent a lot of times. It's, I just let my train of thought kind of go wherever. So anyway, yeah, I'm gonna wrap this up here. Just stay tuned. Like, you know, there's gonna be all kinds of different stuff on this channel. This is the main channel. I don't know what's next as far as, or I don't really have a plan as of yet. But yep, need to work on like a proper outro. I say on the other one, let me get out of here and do the thing. But I don't even have a proper like outro, really. Anyway, check the links below for links to if I've used something that requires credits, websites, different stuff. I think there's a, if not, I need to put it in there to the gaming channel. Uh, yeah, all that good stuff. I will come up with an outro and other stuff later on. But thank you for watching, and yeah, come back later. Stay tuned, stay informed. Whatever with the goings on. We're slowly but surely we'll get something out here. Thanks again. Take care.